Live from the GSN studios in Grafton, West Virginia, it's The Hudl.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Hudl podcast. Today is the 4th episode and it is the 17th of August. Today's episode is brought to you by Quality Machines. If man made it, quality can fix it. I'm your host, Parker Biller, joined by co-host and producer, Noah Foley. Flea, how you doing today, man?
Good, man. How about you?
I've been better. I've been a lot better. I haven't seen you in a week. I had my wisdom teeth out, and it's not fun. I can tell you that.
You still in pain a little bit?
Yeah, it's very painful surgery, and that put me on a lot of meds. So I'm feeling a little better now. So school starts next week.
Yep.
Our sets and our shows are going to be probably a little different. We're going to be all over the place. You know, we got to find a permanent place to film. Mm-hmm. As you've seen, our sets have not been the same for any episode, so we're still trying to figure that out. So, also, a lot of sports are starting as well in the off season that we haven't got around to reporting on yet. Hopefully, we will soon. Things like golf. Golf season started the other day. Boys and girls soccer and volleyball, all things we need to get around to. But today, our main focus is going to be on cross country. I got a chance to go to the cross-country practice last night, and I tell you, Flea, I was really impressed with what I saw from a lot of the young guys. This is a very, very hungry team, and it's an impressive team, too. So I actually talked to assistant coach PJ Luzzi about how he felt this team was going to perform this year. Roll a clip. What are your expectations for this team going in? You have a young group here. I know you just kind of touched on it a little bit, but Just fill me in on that a little bit.
Boys side, with what, the couple stud veterans that we have returning mixed in with that freshman group, I would never put this sort of pressure on them, this early on in the season. But just looking at preseason rankings, now we're not in there yet because, this freshman need to run a race to get into preseason rankings. But I honestly believe that it's going to be a full horse race, for the state championship in November, and we're going to be one of the horses. Yeah. Not to hype us up too much, but I like that is this group's ceiling on the guys' side.
No, I agree with you. You got a lot of personnel this year. You got a lot of fast guys. Who are some of these people that are standing out to you that are going to be leaders here in a few years?
Definitely MJ and Colson. They've been in the program. They sort of know, how everything operates. And those guys have been so successful. So and even those younger guys have been successful. They can see, sort of what steps it takes and what you need to do, to have success at this level. And those guys are just embracing it. And for like MJ and Colson, it's like they hadn't had a full team. So like having this camaraderie and team, team chemistry, it's just like the buzz and energy around practice every single day is just incredible. You really couldn't ask for any much more. And then on the girls' side, they obviously we losing all-state runner in Emily.
Yep, that's a big loss. I interviewed her. I sat down there.
Oh, okay, sweet. Yeah. You cannot replace a low number like that. But with the collective group of girls that we got coming in, a few freshmen, and one of the freshmen, Addison, she's showing that she's going to be able to translate really well to this next level and probably. I know she's, not really sure where she should be right now. I mean, I got a pretty good idea of where she should be. But she should have no problems figuring out, that longer distance and being able, to compete right away. And then also the girls collectively as a group, filling in that void of Emily, just everybody pushing each other, everyone had a really good summer, running. Maybe that wasn't something that has happened before or as often, but people were really out there putting the work in, whether it was flex days or non-flex days. These, a lot of times it's not about what people are capable of. Sometimes it's about those people that are willing to put in the work. And this group is just, they're so willing. I mean, like their drive to compete and just want to get better. They listen, they do everything you ask of them. They're doing all the right things.
Yep.
All the little things, just to, take care of business out there, on Saturdays. I truly believe, top 3 in the region is automatic bid to state meets. So I really think those girls could sneak in there to that 3rd spot and, find their way down to Cabell Midland, come November 2nd.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Best of luck.
Yeah, man, no problem.
High praise from Coach PJ Luzzi there, and he talked a lot about veteran leadership, which is so important in any sports team.
Yeah.
Teaches the young guys, and that's how you build a good program. And it is a good program at the Grafton High School cross country team. Really great coaches, father and son duo. So speaking of veteran leadership, we're about to sit down with a very special guest who is a veteran of this cross country team, and he's our Keystone Realty special guest of the week. And a quick word from our sponsor. We'll be right back. Hey guys, Parker here. I want to tell you about my friends at the Keystone Realty Group. When you're looking for your dream home, time is of the essence. The North Central West Virginia real estate market moves very quickly, so you need an agent that has their finger on the pulse and keeps you in the know. Keystone Realty agents are responsive, honest, and will go the extra mile to get you the deal you want on the home you love. That's why Keystone Realty is the only group I trust for all your buying, selling, and renting needs. Conveniently located in the Middletown Commons in Fairmont, West Virginia, Keystone Realty is your key to home ownership. MJ, we're glad that you're with us today. Thank you for joining the podcast.
Of course, man.
Thanks, MJ. So, first question, I want to talk about last year's cross-country team. And you guys had no boys team. So, it was only you and Colson. So, that must have been tough on you guys, was it?
Yeah, it's really difficult because in cross country, it is a team sport, whether people believe it or not. Your top 5 runners all get points, and those points contribute to your team score. So the lower you are, the lower points you get, and the lowest team wins. So whenever you're just running for yourself and you don't get a run for a team, it makes it a little bit difficult to be motivated to move up spots. So really it's just individual performance, and you just have to try to qualify on your own. So it makes it more difficult to qualify as well, because you don't have on other teams that qualify as a team, you have your 5 runner and they'll qualify. But for me, I just have to place within the top 10 in our region in order to qualify. So it does make it a little bit more difficult. Of course, I came in with a lot of confidence. I didn't think I was ever going to not qualify, and I ended up qualifying. But at the state meet, I didn't have a team to run for, and I just went out super hard, and I ended up not finishing as high as I wanted to. But it does make it difficult to not have a team. And then training-wise, it is also very difficult because you have to run on your own a lot of the time. So last year was a lot of solo running. It was a lot of getting miles in on my own, listening to music, and just going out and running. Mm-hmm. This year it's a lot different with the freshmen on the team. I have guys that have run with me, and that they push themselves to keep up with me, and it's really impressive to me. Chase Mayer is definitely someone that keeps up with me almost every single practice, and I can always rely on him to run with me. So it's nice. My sophomore year, I had JT to run with, who graduated that year, and it was really different last year. I was running by myself almost the entire season. It got a little boring by the end, but it really is hard to push yourself, but I have the mental discipline to do so and go out and run on my own whenever I can.
Yeah, and obviously this year you guys have a lot of new freshmen joining, so now you do have a boys team this year. And, the 8th grade cross-country team last year was undefeated. How do you feel like they will perform in the high school level this year?
Dude, those freshmen they're hungry. They want it, and they work really hard every single practice. I mean, like I said, they try to keep up with me every single practice. I'll be out there. They're so much younger. They're not used to running as much, and they'll still keep up with me. They'll get the miles in. They'll run the amount of mileage that they need to get in, and they listen to the coaches very well. They listen to PJ. They do what they need to do. And they really have a drive. They're used to winning. They have a winning mentality, and that really helps coming into high school. They expect to be good. They expect to excel and be the best runners that they can be. And those dudes are really driven. They are good runners. They're athletes. They play other sports. They know how to be in a team. They know how to work for each other. And they really push themselves every single practice. And I think it'll very much translate into meets. Yeah. Like I said, Chase Mayer, he's been so impressive this year, dude. He works his butt off every single practice, and he's fast. I mean, I think that kid will be almost as good as I was last year this year as a freshman. That kid will, he will end up going to college running if he wants to. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, I was really impressed from what I saw last night. So many of those guys are just so fast. It's just raw speed. It's raw talent is what it is.
Yeah, we went out last night. It was a hard practice last night. Yeah. We went out, and I was like, hey, guys, I'm going to run a little faster today because we did our recovery the day before. And I go out super hard, and they're right behind me. And I was like, dude, you guys are wild for this because they're freshmen. And I was like, Okay, and then Chase ended up keeping with me the entire time and even was ahead of me the entire run, so it was really impressive. Cam, Brian, Chase are going to do some exceptional things, and then we have some other guys, Mason, Nestor, and JK and Isaac. They'll all push each other for that 6 and 7 spot, and those guys can help us get points because if your 6 runner beats someone else's 5 runner, it knocks them back places.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's definitely important for them to run as hard as they can for meets to help out the team. And if you have a tie in points too, your 6 runner is the tiebreaker. So it's definitely important for them to train just as hard as the top 5. And in the future, with me graduating and them having to step up in the future, I think they can have some great teams. By the time they're all seniors, they'll be a really hard team to beat.
Yeah, so let's talk about the girls cross country team for a second. Obviously, we're losing a very, very poised runner in Emily Vianney, and it sort of felt like her essence was still felt around the team because of the amount of success that she had when she was there. You know, Emily was the heart and soul of this team. MJ, how hard do you think it's going to be to sort of fill her shoes?
I mean, dude, she was an exceptional runner. She just had the raw talent. She went out and she worked every day, and she was, you know, she had the build of a runner, and now she's running at Fairmont State, I believe.
Yep.
She was the 800-meter state champ 2 years in a row. So, I mean, that shows that she has raw speed because 800 is a shorter distance event. So she has the speed, and then in cross country, she translated, and she was a state qualifier at least the last 2 years. I don't know if she was a qualifier the year before that, but she was a talent, and we have to fill those shoes. It's definitely something that's hard to fill, but we have some juniors this year. Sophia Austin, she's a really experienced runner this year, and then we have some freshmen stepping up that will be some really good runners. I know Addison, she's a freshman this year. PJ talked about her earlier. She is a hard worker. She, by what I've seen, I didn't know her before this team, but I can tell that she wants to win. She's a good runner. She enjoys running, and I think she will be an exceptional piece to this team, and I think that she can definitely qualify for states individually, if not with the team this year. So I think she can fill that role that Emily is leaving behind pretty well.
That's good. You have someone stepping up in that spot.
Yeah, for sure. And MJ, let's talk about you for a second. So you qualified for states last year and finished the season ranked 16th, and this year you are ranked 12th preseason. So is there a lot of pressure for you to perform well when you're ranked that high?
Okay, so I have this thing whenever I run, I'm running for no one except myself and God.
Okay.
And that, I mean, I have no one to, you know, what's the word? I have no one to run, like no one else to run for. I don't care about anyone else's expectations. I run based on what I think I can do.
Well, that's what cross country is. I mean, you're running against yourself. That's what makes it such a unique sport.
Yeah,
it's really personal. I mean, I put high expectations for myself, and I try to achieve those expectations. So that 12th preseason ranking, that's too low for me, in my opinion. Really? I think I'm better than that. I want to be. My goal that I set for myself at the start of the season was top 5 in the state, and even better than that, maybe even. I want to. My PR is 16:54 in the 5K. I want to break 16, which is a big gap, but I mean that's the goal that I set for myself. And you know, last track season, I started winning some races, and I realized that, like, dude, you just gotta have confidence. You gotta believe in yourself, and it's kind of like if you look at the best runners in the country, in the world, they kind of have an ego to them. They think I'm better than the other people that I'm running against, and that's something that you kind of have to have when you're running. You have to believe that you're better than everyone else. And then you have to go out and you have to prove that. That doesn't mean that you have to flaunt it. You have to, you know, have it outside, but it has to be an internal ego where you believe in yourself. You think you're better than the people that you're going to race against, and then you go out and you do it on race day.
That really is the key to success in running too.
Yeah, it's such a hard sport because it's mental. You know, you have to. It's something that, like, you have a bad race, you might get down on yourself. You just have to move on.
Yeah.
Especially like last track season, I like won one race, and I was like, dude, I'm actually like, I can be better than these guys. And then I went out and I won more, and I said I had a really good season, and I put together a really successful year, a good campaign, and I hope that translates to this cross country season where I continue that confidence, and I can really believe that I'm better than the other people that I'm running against. And even by doing that, having that, you know, big confidence and, you know, believing myself, I'm still best friends with the runners that I run against. These guys from other teams, I think running's unlike any sport. You compete against the same guys almost every week. You know, it's not like we have a schedule where you're playing other teams every single week. You basically compete against the same teams every single week. And some of those dudes I'm like really good friends with. I mean, there's there's like a running social media app called Strava where you can track your runs and you can go look at the other people that you run against and you can give them like little likes, kudos.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. So I keep in touch with the other runners and I'll talk to them at meets. Like last year, only having 2 people on our team, I would warm up and cool down with the Fairmont senior team, it's really different. You know, you wouldn't usually do that in any other sport, but you know, I'm like good friends with those guys now. And the guys from Elkins I'll talk to every meet, and some of the other guys from like East Fairmont, we know each other. You know, you learn the good runners in your area, and you learn who you're running against. And it helps running too, because you know how they race, you know their strategies, and you can help understand like, hey, I'm gonna go out and I'm just gonna run off of this guy's shoulder, and I'm gonna try to keep with him for as long as I possibly can. And that's what I did in the regional last year, which is where I ran my PR. My friend Josiah from Fairmont Senior, I just ran with him and I followed his shoulder for the first 2 miles, and then he gapped me a little bit, but I ended up getting 5th place, and I qualified for states based off that race strategy, and it really worked out. And I know that he's an exceptional runner, so I try to stay with him. Yeah. And it really helps that, know the people that you're running against.
That's good, building relationships like that. And MJ, I want to ask you about the region that we are in for cross country, because it is one of the most it's tough. It's the toughest one in the state. You could say we have Williamstown, Elkins, and us, which are predicted to be the top 3 cross country teams in the state. So how's the competition like? Is it tough? Like, what's the competition like in cross country?
So the new regional realignment, we were hoping maybe we'll get an easier region this year. Like last year we had Frankfurt, who's consistently one of the best teams in the state. We had Fairmont Senior, who's also consistently one of the top teams in the state. And then East Fairmont's they have some pretty good runners as well. And so we lost Frankfurt, we lost Fairmont Senior, and we lost Kaiser this year in our region. And then they say, let's throw in Elkins and Williamstown. Elkins is the number 1 team ranked in the state. Williamstown moving up from single A to double A. That's number 2 team ranked in the state now. And so we have to compete against those guys. And it's been hard every single year. It's been super competitive, and especially like for me, we have the same track region as cross country. Like my freshman and sophomore year, I would have qualified if I were in a different region, but I didn't.
That's frustrating
because of the region that we were in. It was super frustrating, but it's good to see those guys, because those are the guys who get to race at states. So it's good to see those guys throughout the year, but it does make it very difficult to qualify for states. But I'm confident in our team. We have Williamstown, Elkins, and then Frankfurt's always a really good team, like I said. So they're in that top 5 mix. And then East Fairmont was ranked 10 in the preseason rankings. I do think that we are better than that team. I think that we have more depth. But they don't know that yet, because we have a bunch of freshmen coming up. So you can't really rank a team that none of the runners have ran yet. Exactly. But it does make it pretty difficult, but you also have the best runners in the state that you're running against. So it makes it more competitive. It makes the races a little bit tougher. But and even the conference that we're in, you look at the AAA schools that are in our conference as well, Fairmont Senior, Bridgeport, Preston, they all have consistently pretty good runners. So all of our races are pretty competitive. I've only ever won 1 cross country race in my entire life, and I'm a pretty good runner. It was Clay County last year. There weren't very many teams there, so it was not the most exceptional race to win. It wasn't the most competitive, and I just went out and I ran my best, and I ended up winning that race. But it is a very tough region to run in.
It is.
We had a shirt, I think my sophomore year, it said on the back, region number 1 for a reason. Because we are consistently the best region in the state. It's hard to be where we're at, but it's fun.
MJ, you're a senior this year. It's your last year. You've been with this team through highs and lows, and you've seen a lot. So tell me, what do you think is going to make this season a successful one for the whole team in general? We
have a lot of chemistry. I know these freshmen have come up together. They know each other, and they work for each other. They know they're.
You can see that just watching.
Yeah, and that's really important too.
Yes.
Have that chemistry.
Before and after practice, they're always talking to each other. They're always messing around with each other. They're freshmen, so they're still a little immature, but they use that immaturity to have fun with each other. And it's fun to be around. I'll walk around and I'm 6'2", and I think the tallest one of them is like 5'10".
They are a little
short. These guys are all a little bit below me, but I think that they can look up to me a little bit this year, and I hope to have a little bit of a leadership role there. I hope Colson can step into a little bit of a leadership role. He's a little bit of he's a quiet guy, but it's okay.
He's fast though.
He's fast. That is a fast runner. he always shows up on meet day.
And I always see him running around town too.
Oh, he's always
a
putting in
hard
work.
worker.
He gets his miles in,
Runs
and
every
he
day.
shows up on meet day. That's the most important thing. He's always consistently a good runner whenever it's needed most.
Yep.
I mean, last year at the state track meet, he ran a PR. And he at regionals and our home meets and any meet that like really matters, any of the big meets, he always ends up running good.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a big part of this team. I've run with him since my sophomore year, so we work together pretty well. And then these freshmen, I feel like we're a tight knit group. We like each other. And then on the girls' side, we have some freshmen coming up that have ran together. They're friends. I always see them talking to each other. And then we have some leadership with our juniors and seniors that, you know, they have good personalities. They're very outgoing. So I think that they can build a good group there, and we can have a good season on both the boys and girls side, and hopefully we can qualify for state at the end of it.
Well, it looks like this program is heading in the right direction. MJ, wrapping things up real quick, I just want to ask you, have you had fun running cross country for the past 2 years?
Well, outside of the actual running part,
That's fair.
you know, I do have fun with running sometimes, especially on meet day. You know, you go out, you run, and especially whenever you accomplish your goal, you have a good race. It's definitely fun. I love running. It's something that I've grown into as I've gotten older with more success. You know, once you start winning, it makes it a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
So like last track season, I really enjoyed it. It was a great time. I built camaraderie with some of the guys that I run with. I think this freshman group, they're a group of fun guys. They all have really great personalities, and my career is it's headed to the right direction, and hopefully I can translate that into running in college as well. I've visited some schools. I'm looking around, so
That's good.
you guys might see me one day signing to go to some school.
Yeah, well, I hope we do.
But it's definitely something that I want to continue in my life. It's something that I enjoy. Since sixth grade, where I started track, and I was like, hey, maybe I'll do this. And then my seventh grade year, where I kept playing soccer, but I added some cross country in there, and I had a little bit of a team bond there with some guys that used to run cross country and then gave it up as they got older. But it was really a great time running wise. And then I gave it up my freshman year cross country, and I realized that was a mistake, and that I really do like the sport. So then I got it back my sophomore year, and I've loved it since then. And it's really a consistency in my life, and it's a discipline that you really need to get behind, and you have to believe that it's doing good for you. And now that I've done it for a certain amount of time, it's something that has, you know, it's something that I do consistently, and it's like another part of your day.
Yep.
It's like going to work and going to school. It's just, I need to go run. So then you go run.
Yep.
So it's a good thing for anyone to have in their life, because it's such a mental thing. You know, you have to keep yourself consistent.
Yeah. Well, you've had an impressive career, MJ, and we thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, we do.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Thank you to MJ.
Thank you.
And welcome back to the Huddle. MJ is still here because he loves sports, and he's going to talk to us about it. So moving on, let's talk about football. I know that's something that we kind of touch on religiously over and over again, but it's something that's so important to the community of Grafton. It's something that we love and we showcase a lot. But me and Flea, we've been to a lot of summer practices and two-a-days. And I sat down after practice the other day and I talked to Coach Foley about the importance of bouncing back after a rough season last year. Roll the clip.
When we ended last year, the day after, the Monday after the season ended, we met and we talked about what's going to happen moving forward. And the kids were asked if they were just going to be capable or if they were going to be willing. Because in order to turn this thing around, they're going to have to be willing to do some things that they haven't been willing to do. The effort has to be better. The mindset has to be better. All that has to change. We all have the abilities to do it, but are we going to be willing to take the step to cross that line to see that it gets done?
You guys just heard Coach Foley mention that his team has the ability. They just have to find it and use it correctly this year to be successful.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing. A lot of these guys, they have talent. They just got to find it in themselves. They got to believe in the team. And that's the hardest part about the game, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know a lot of it from like whenever I've played sports. I've been on some rough teams, and a lot of it is just mental. It's team bonding and just being there for each other and not fighting with each other and blaming. Whenever your team gets down on themselves and they start losing some games, it's a lot of blaming other people. You just gotta do what you need to do and believe in yourself. And usually your team will come together and you guys can put some wins together at that point.
That's right. And football season is just around a corner, so definitely lots of more coverage to come from there. Flea, you're going to wrap things up with your Blue and Gold Minute.
Sad news for the WVU community the past few days.
A WVU legend.
WVU GOAT, in my opinion.
He was a GOAT.
Tavon Austin retired from the NFL.
The wide receiver,
running back, whatever. But in 4 years at West Virginia, he caught 288 passes, almost 300, and had 3,400 yards. Adding on with 29 touchdowns. That's really impressive.
It is crazy. And he is regarded as having the best college highlight reel of anybody anywhere.
MJ, do you agree with that statement?
Oh, he was my favorite player.
It was mine too.
WVU football history, he was my favorite player, and I was like 7. But, back in my day, I had like 5 catches for like 40 yards in JV. So I'm basically Tavon Austin.
Okay, that's fair.
And then also while rushing, he had 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns.
They gave him a lot of like end arounds and jet sweeps and stuff.
He just touched the
I always remember watching the highlights of the Oklahoma game. He had 600 all scrimmage yards, dude.
I remember that.
That is crazy, and we still lost that game. But
Tavon Austin touches the ball, something's happening.
Something's
happening.
His NFL career didn't really take off as well as.
And like MJ said earlier, he was way too early for his time.
Yeah.
Like imagine him on the 49ers now.
Him and a Debo Samuel role where you can just like touch the ball and just do whatever.
Yeah.
He'd be so.
He's so fast, and that's why he was great for punt and kick returns. Is how fast he was.
He did. He had 16 touchdowns in the NFL. 16 touchdowns in the NFL is better than any of us will ever get.
Oh yeah. So, and then also, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but during the Mountaineers basketball season, they are doing a Jerry West tribute jersey. I think it's like their old blue.
I think they're putting the 44.
They put the 44 on the patch, and they're doing like an old Royal Navy blue tribute jersey, which is gonna be really cool.
Yeah, I know WVU women's soccer. They got off to a good start the other night. They won 2-0, I think, against Delaware.
Yeah, they did.
They had a 44 patch in their
city. I think
every team.
Yes, and they're all making videos about Jerry West too, and his commitment to the community and what he's done. So I think that's a great way to remember him and to keep his tradition alive for a whole year. They're wearing him for a whole year. So great guy there, WVU legend. 2 WVU GOATs right there.
Tavon and Jerry, man.
Yeah, it was a great thing. All right, my producer's telling me that's all the time we had today. We had a big episode today. It was really good.
That was great.
So thank you, MJ, for joining us there at the end. We appreciate you guys watching. Thank you to our sponsors. We'll roll them on the clip there. So thank you guys for watching, and God bless.